Alright, boys and girls, we're back with our ostriches this week, and we are using oil pastels on black paper. If you don't have black construction paper or oil pastels, then use white paper with crayons. But for this lesson, I am going to be showing you using the black paper and oil pastels. It's the same concept, just use the different materials. This is a 9 by 12 piece of construction paper, and we're going to be using the oil pastels to create these warm and cool colors. So we've talked about warm and cool colors before, but when we're using art, they use cool colors to represent things that are colder or even show emotions. And our cool colors are our purples, our greens, and our blues, which are being used right here. And our warm colors show things that are hot. We might make fire or the sun. And also emotions like anger, we use our warm colors, and that's the oranges, the yellows, and the reds, and that's being used down here. We're also going to be trying to show texture. We want to make our bird look fuzzy or hairy. So we're going to be using some vertical lines and also some diagonal lines in here, and just kind of brushing on here so that we can create our texture. So I'm going to show you how to do that. I am just using the Crayola oil pastels that I have. You do not have to use Crayola oil pastels, or you do not have to use oil pastels. But if you are using crayons, you need to make sure that you are using white paper instead of the black, because it'll show up better. So I'm going to find some of my warm colors, and I'm going to get out my reds, and here's like a yellow orange, so that would be a warm color. My orange, my yellow, these are all our warm colors, and those are the ones that we're going to be grouping together. And you can also use pink in your warm colors, so I have those. These are the colors that I'm going to use to create some of my bird. You can switch over to your cool colors too, so instead of doing warm in here, you could do cool and switch it and do it different. Right now for this, I'm going to show you using warm in the neck and warm on the sides, but then cool in the face. So you just make sure that you group them together. Don't use them together when you're doing your art project. So how I started this is, I'm going to move these over, is remember oil pastels, they're really soft and they can smear. You can see I got some on my paper already, but you want to make sure that you're not just brushing it away, because it will get on things, or that your fingers are getting smudge prints on your artwork. So the first thing I started off with is, my paper's long this way, it's vertical. I'm going to put a dot in about the center of my paper right there, and I'm going to leave that dot right there. But then I'm going to take, and to create my neck shape that I have right here, I'm actually just going to make parallel lines almost, but also just kind of simple. I'm going to make just 2 lines like this, where it's kind of creating that neck shape. You can kind of see my dots right here, but then I just made these going down. So in order to get the texture on my bird, I need to make hairs. But I want these hairs to look like they're on top of the ones that are underneath it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make vertical lines, and I'm just making the lines, but I'm going to start at the bottom. So I want to make sure I do that. So you can use any of your, like I said, right now I'm doing all my warms on my neck, and I'm not mixing warm and cool. You're keeping your groups separate. So the way I do it is I'm just making lines in a row like this. I'm not coloring, I'm just making lines. You can even hear me like making those lines on my paper. So I'm going to start by doing that, but then I'm going to take and I'm going to make another line, but I'm going to make sure that I overlap those lines so that the hair looks like it's, and again, I'm just making lines. I really want to make it look like it's a hairy, fuzzy bird. I don't want it to look like I'm just coloring it in and don't have texture. Remember, texture is how something feels. And in art, we use lines and things to make it look like it's hairy, because it's a picture on a piece of paper. So we're trying to create that texture. And again, I'm just going to come in, but I'm overlapping my lines. So I'm coming with my other color on top of the one that I did before. I don't want to have a gap between those. So I'm going to keep doing that, just making my lines going up and finishing my neck with my warm colors, making a pattern or lines of different colors. You can see I finished up the neck. I've made layers going up, creating that texture. You can even see some of these lines that I kind of made swoop out. That kind of makes it look like it's hairy and has texture. You just kind of want to pet it because it looks like it's a hairy animal right now. So now we actually have to get the head shape done. And what I did was I used that dot that I have in the middle, and I'm creating lines going around, like radiating around from that one dot. And I first started with my cool colors, and I'm going to show you how I did that. And then I added in my warm colors. So I'm going to use that dot right here as my guide. And so now I actually am going to get out all my cool colors, which would be my purples. And I have 2 shades of purple there. And my greens and my blues. So your greens, your blues, and your purples. Any of those shades you can get out, and you're going to be creating your head right now, part of your head, using those cool colors. So I have those, and I'm going to use that dot as my guide, and I'm really just going to start radiating lines again, just making lines on my paper, and bringing them out and making lines, even coming into my neck so that my head looks like it's connected to my neck. I don't want it to look like it's floating in. So you notice I'm kind of making it look like it looks like a waterfall right now, but it's just coming out like kind of like it exploded out of a volcano here. But I'm doing that, but then I'm going to also come up and I'm going to create my lines coming this way. And again, I'm just doing like fast strokes so that, and it just going out so it looks like it's got a hairy look to it. My hand is really loose right now. I'm just kind of making strokes into my artwork. But then I'm also going to change out my colors, and I'm going to add definitely more cool colors in there. And again, I'm just being really fast. You can see that my hand's just kind of going quick. Make sure you put something underneath your workspace. You can see Miss Shop's getting on her table, but I'm able to wipe my art tables down. But you can see just really quick strokes, so you're not sitting there trying to be like particular about where they're going, because we want it to look loose and like it's like hair. Kind of fun because you're just like working out those arms. And again, I'm just going from that dot and creating those lines. So you can see that I've actually added a lot of lines, making it look really full so that my bird had a lot of hair and texture. And now I've done the cool, and remember they're all coming from that dot and then coming out from this side. But now I'm actually going to go in and do my warm colors coming from that same spot, but I'm going to come from here and draw out so that I'm creating that circle again. So I'm going to need my warm colors again to fill in the sides of my head. I have my reds, my oranges, and my yellows, and again I'm going to start here, and I'm just going to go out and kind of filling in these areas in here where I'm making sure that I have a full bird, where it doesn't have pieces missing, because I don't want it to look like my bird is not finished. And again, I'm just coming out here, being really loose with my arm so that it's just kind of making strokes in there with my hand and making it look like it's hairy. And I'm going to use, again, really fill it in, but I'm also going to use just my warm colors, but different colors, so that I get a lot of different colors in there, and you're getting to learn about your cool and your warm colors. So I'm going to keep filling in using lots of my warm colors. And you know what? I haven't used my pink yet. I'm going to use some pink in there and add in some of those warm colors. And again, just fill it in. It kind of looks like an explosion of your fireworks, but you're really, like I said, just filling it in, getting a really close-up picture of your ostrich here. So my artwork right here is done. I've got my bird ready for my eyes and my beak. Remember, we made these the week before. We're going to actually cut these out, and so we can try to put them on our bird and see what they look like. And so go ahead and cut out the eyes and the beak of your bird. So I have the birds eyes and beak cut out, but now I need to figure out where I want to lay them on my bird. So you can see where I have them on this one, but I also need to kind of lay out my composition here and then decide to glue it down. And make sure you put your eyes on the right way, facing the right way, and also your, oh, I like that. So I'm gonna glue these on, and then I'm gonna let my bird dry. Have a good week, guys, and I will see you next week.